Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the fourth workshop for Community Companions. I am your host and project coordinator, Zebnissa Rao, and I'm pleased to meet you all here today. My co-host today is Farzana Siddiqui. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much.
Sister Farzana is a trained counsellor and a member of our team. Community Companions is a project of Hounslow Muslim Centre designed to support the elderly and vulnerable in our community. You will find in the chat room contact details for the project and of our guest speaker. Today is the fourth workshop in a series to help engage and empower the elders in our community in matters related to medicine, mental health, legal matters, hobbies, and social activities. Our guest today is Madiha Iftikhar, Women's Empowerment Coach and Speaker. Madiha offers one-to-one coaching, a weekly women's workshop, bespoke community awareness workshops for women, known as the Women's Empowerment Initiative. MashaAllah.
MashaAllah.
Sister Madiha has an inspiring story which led her on the path to help others. She has 3 wonderful children, the eldest of which requires care and who went through a traumatic experience of needing a heart transplant. This and other personal experiences provided self-awareness and the required drive for the decision that once this hardship was over, Madiha would dedicate herself to help others. And this is what she's doing even today. Our topic today is emotional strength from the power of 10. How to build a foundation of emotional strength during the last 10 days of Ramadan to empower you for a lifetime. Ramadan is one of the 4 holy months of the Muslim calendar. It is a time of training, worship, and reflection in ways that are physical, psychological, and emotional. We tend to generally focus on the physical side of fasting, the self-control, the food aspect, alongside the community spirit and joy of opening our fast together, which are all part and parcel of the experience, of course. However, a question we should ask ourselves is that, are we actually reaping all of the benefits and lessons that we have been given and has been designed for us to be explored through this month, and which are actually the foundations to our own self-development? Ramadan is sadly now coming to an end, but we still have the last 10 days to work hard on these foundations, and Sister Madiha will guide us through them. Over to you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Jazakallah khair for the beautiful introduction. I'm truly humbled to be a part of this initiative by the Hounslow Masjid. May Allah reward all of you for your efforts, and may Allah accept this from me as well, inshallah. Ameen.
Ameen.
Okay, so we're talking about emotional intelligence today, emotional strength, and what it means and how we can use it to help ourselves and help other people around us, and especially in Ramadan. So emotional intelligence, like if you look at the dictionary definition, it's the ability to be aware of, control and express one's emotions, and to handle interpersonal relationships judicially and empathetically. Emotional intelligence is the key to both personal and professional success. Emotional intelligence is basically your ability of how much you know yourself, how self-aware you are, and how aware you are of other people and their needs. So I try to keep this presentation very simple so everybody can understand, because I'm the kind of person who likes to keep the language very simple. I'm not that articulate in that way. They're using big words and trying to explain big things. I like simple explanations, so I'm trying to keep it simple today. So it's basically emotional intelligence or emotional strength is your ability or your capacity to know yourself, identify your strengths, your weaknesses, your emotions, your needs, and why you behave a certain way. And same goes for the other people, right? So emotional intelligence has 4 domains. So it's self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and social management. So self-awareness would be your ability to recognize your own thoughts, emotions, feelings, needs, and actions. And that's where your reflection and evaluation comes in. Self-management would be your ability to use your self-awareness, whatever you've learned from your reflection and evaluation, and use that to manage your behavior and your actions accordingly. Social awareness would be your ability to recognize other people's emotions, feelings, needs, and actions, like why they do what they do, the reason behind it, and all that. Social management would be, again, using your self-evaluation and your social awareness and putting them two together and manage your relationships and your interactions accordingly. So if we go on self-awareness, and I'll ask these questions later on again. So in a gist, it's like who you are, what you are, where you are. And when I say where you are, it means within your emotions and within your life, right? When, why, asking these 5 W's. So these are all the questions you would, when you're doing self-evaluation, you would be asking these questions to yourself. The self-talk, how you talk to yourself, your values and beliefs, what's you and what isn't, right? Your model of the world, basically. How you look at things, how you look at other people. And so step by step, you would go through these things. Self-management would be, again, doing self-reflection, self-evaluation. So we have, when I do coaching, we have a list of questions that we go through with each client before they even sign up for any coaching. And based on those questions, we take that's their self-reflection, their self-audit, if you want to call it, self-evaluation. And based on those questions, that's when we design the program for them, and then they start working on their self-development. Self-management would again sound like what is and isn't in my control. So the actions that I can take, the thoughts that I can control, the feelings that I have, how can I work, like how can I respond or react? And knowing that I can't control everything. So again, there's a big self-management is knowing that what is and isn't in my control is one of the biggest things in self-management, right? And then how I can improve or fix my internal and external issues, and then having a toolkit in place for future references. Sorry, I'm just going through them and we'll get back to them one by one, inshallah. Social awareness, again, asking those 5 W's, who, what, where, when, why, individually. Because it's social awareness is being knowledgeable of the person who's next to you. If you're working in your work environment, knowing your colleagues. If you're in a family environment, knowing your family members, who they are, what they believe in, where they are from, what are they doing, why are they doing what they're doing, social and cultural, religious expectations. And then again, the very important thing is others' model of the world. That's what we need to be aware of. So if you want to put all of these things together, just go with this knowing others' model of the world. That would be, if you do this, you'll be socially aware. That's a very, that's something that you need to be aware of. Social management. Then it's sympathy versus empathy, knowing the difference. Again, what is and isn't in my control. So when you're in a relationship, when you're trying to interact with other people, again, you need to be aware of what you can control and what you can't control. Then again, what does and doesn't concern me. So especially being a Muslim, learning to mind your own business. Very, very important. How I can improve or fix my relationships. And then again, having a toolkit in place for future references. So once you go through all of this stuff, inshallah, you will be emotionally intelligent. Now, when we were talking to Sister Zebanisa, we were talking about this concept of emotional intelligence being a Western concept. And a lot of times people think that, this coaching and counseling and, these new terminologies that are coming around, they are all Western concepts, whereas they aren't. These are just the modern terms. And because people have started practicing them, it's become like a Western concept, but it's not actually. if you look at in the Seerah, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself was, I think, the only emotionally intelligent person. And you can look at that from his character. If you study his character, obviously his Seerah, how considerate he was of other people, how he always made sure that he made everybody feel special. He never belittled anyone. He never corrected anybody in public. He knew how and what to say and when to say it. And that's all about being emotionally intelligent. And he knew his own strengths. He knew his own weaknesses. He knew his Sahaba's weak points. He knew their strengths again, and he interacted with them based on that knowledge. And that's what you call emotional intelligence, right? Being considerate for the people, like having these good manners. If you go deep into these terminologies, you will find out what that means. So if we want to take, for instance, let's start by working on ourselves first, because emotional intelligence starts with us. So the self-awareness. It's very important from Ramadan point of view. This is the month where this month is for Allah. Like Allah says, everything else that we do, all other pillars of Islam, everything else is to benefit the human being themselves. But when it comes to Ramadan, this month is just for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. And he said the reward is with him. And knowing yourself will bring you closer to Allah. So instead of focusing on other people and, instead of focusing on how many pages of Quran everybody else is reading and competing with them, focus on whatever you have learned yourself today. So I've read 1 page of Quran. What does it mean? What is Allah trying to say to me through that page, right? What is it? What lesson can I take from that? Or even 1 ayah, what lesson can I take from it? How can I implement it in my life? How can I use that and put that in my toolkit? So whatever you learn, it's going in your toolkit to help you in the future. So Ramadan is the time for you to become more aware of yourself. And the more aware you become of yourself, the more aware you become of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because knowing yourself is knowing Allah. And I'll say it how, because it's when you know who you are, why you were created, why you feel a certain way, when you know that there are certain values and beliefs that you have that don't sit well with other people, but that's what you believe, then you know that it's coming from Allah. Allah is the one who's created you like that, right? Instead of trying to be for somebody else, like how other people want you to be yourself, connect with yourself, become more aware of yourself. What kind of language do you use with yourself? Are you kind to yourself or are you not kind to yourself, right? Does Allah speak to you the way you speak to yourself? If you were to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, would you have the same kind of conversations with yourself, the ones that you have when you're alone? And again, we think we are alone, but Allah is watching us. But I'm saying on the day of judgment, would you have the same kind of conversations with yourself that the ones that you have right now? Would they be appropriate? Would you use that kind of demeaning languages and belittling language that you use with yourself? I'm not worthy. I'm not supposed to be here. I don't know why Allah created me. I don't know why I was born. I should have not been here, right? I'm not a good Muslim. I'm not a good enough mother. I'm not a good enough wife. I'm not a good enough sister. I could do better. And then you're constantly trying to belittle yourself. But did Allah really create you that way? It's because of our lack of self-awareness that we behave this way.
Sorry,
It's
sister,
the
could I
other
just
Sorry.
pause a minute? There's a kind of a rustling sound. I'm not sure where that's coming from, and it's disturbing the sound.
Let me see.
It stopped right now. It's okay now.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's still there slightly, but it's better.
Is it better?
Sorry, yeah, sorry to interrupt. Please.
No, it's fine, it's fine. I think I like more interactive ones. So if everybody wants to start asking questions, I think I'll prefer that. I like, because I've put the slides together, but I will share more as people start talking. So I'd like everybody to start interacting, please, if you don't mind.
Are there any questions so far about?
Yeah, questions, remarks, anything, and we can start the conversation that way, please. I hope nobody minds. So
Well,
we can take one slide at a time, and then we can go over the questions as we're going over the slide, inshallah.
So what you're referring to at the moment, self-awareness,
Mm-hmm.
is it to about yourself or in relationship to other people,
No.
like family, friends, and you know, I mean, you seem to be focusing more on actually how do I feel about myself and where my self-esteem lies, etc.
So it's self-awareness is all about yourself. So you're recognizing your own emotions, your effects, how you feel, why you're feeling like that, right? So who you are, knowing your purpose in life. It's self-awareness is all about that. And the conversations like your self-talk that you have with yourself, your values and beliefs, right? What's you and what isn't. So trying to separate your identity, like who you are as an individual and what other people expect of you. So a woman is supposed to be XYZ, but you think that no, a woman is not supposed, she's supposed to be like ABC, but people expect you to be like XYZ. So the way you behave, are you behaving like an ABC or are you behaving like an XYZ? Do you understand? So it's separating the two.
Your
Knowing
expectations
yourself,
from
yeah. So your own expectations from what other people expect from you.
Okay.
So what's your model of the world? And a lot of the times when what I've seen in my coaching is people are not self-aware. And that was myself as well. The more you go through crisis and the more you go through tests and trials, and every time something happens, that's when you start questioning things in your life, right? And then you say, you know what, this doesn't sit well with me. I don't believe in this kind of stuff, whether it's religious, spiritual, physical, financial, whatever decision, right? When you, self-awareness would be, if you're making a decision, asking yourself those questions, does it align with my values and beliefs? Or am I doing this to please other people? So from Ramadan point of view, self-awareness would be, the expectation from you is to pray. So you're doing your 5 prayers, that's fine. But then the expectation is you're supposed to read, I don't know, 30 pages with each salah, right? That's the expectation, that you should read this much, or you should finish 1 juz every single day. It doesn't matter how you do it, whether you do it in 1 sitting or whether you do it, divide the pages and you do it over 5 salah. And then the other expectation is that you have to start cooking from midday all the way till, like, you know, sehri time. So you're hardly spending any time away from there, right? So all the expectations are, you're supposed to cook, clean, do sahur, do iftar, read 1 juz every single day, sit down and do zikr as well, right? And you can add whatever other cultural expectations are, right? Oh, you should listen to a good lecture as well. You should do this as well. You should do this many du'as, sit down and read at least this many du'as every single day. So that's the expectation. Self-awareness would be, does that really sit well with you? Is it actually working for you? Right? You would have to ask yourself that question, that, okay, I'm doing all of this stuff, but are you feeling when you're doing all of those rituals, are you actually feeling closer to Allah? Are you actually connecting with everything? Or you're just exhausted by the end of the day and you don't know how the day started and you don't know how the day ended? So self-awareness would mean that you would say that, you know what, a self-aware person wouldn't say, you know what, I'm not going to read juz a day. I'm going to read maybe 1 page, then I'm going to read the translation. I'm going to understand what Allah is trying to communicate here. And I'm going to see where I can take the lessons from this 1 page, how I can implement them in my own life. and where I am doing the right stuff and where I'm not doing the right stuff. So how can I fix stuff? How can I improve stuff? Right? That's what self-awareness would do to you.
So it's moving away from expectations of other people and culture, society, to what you're comfortable with, what you're able to do without stretching yourself, without causing anxiety and stress.
Yes, because at the end of the day, especially when it comes to women, it's different for men, I think, because they don't have that responsibility, even though they should, but in the society, in the cultural norms, they don't have that responsibility of cooking, cleaning, and going on with the everyday stuff. If they work, yes, they have a 9-to-5 job again, but outside of that job, they don't have to attend to anyone. Wife is the one who's managing the groceries, she's managing the children, the school runs, she's cooking, like I said, the first one to get up for sahur and the last one to go to sleep at night, if there is any sleep for her, right? And then at the same time, there's that cultural pressure, that social pressure on her that, listen, so-and-so's completed this many juz, where are you right now? So many is spending this many hours a day doing this much zikr, she has completed this amount of tasbeehs, what are you doing, right? Oh, she's a mother, she can do it. So guilt tripping yourself, oh, why can't I do it, right? And you're just going through the numbers and the rituals, and the meaning of Ramadan itself is lost in all of that. Creating a 7-course meal for iftar is not part of Ramadan. It's come from the culture, not from your deen. You're making Ramadan difficult for yourself, right? You're making your deen difficult for yourself. I'm not a scholar, but the understanding that I have is that He's given me everything to make my life easy for me, not to make it difficult. And what we do is, when we start taking these expectations from everybody else, right? And we take somebody else's model of the world and we use it as our own, and we are not self-aware, we are not emotionally intelligent. What we do is we make our own life difficult and we make other people's life difficult, because you turn around and you do the same to other people. That, listen, you need to, and we as women, I think we put the other women down as well, a lot.
Yeah, women can be our own worst enemy.
We are our own worst enemies.
Can I say that, Islam is such a beautiful religion. These are all, as you're saying, Madiha, these are all cultural things. Otherwise, our Prophet ﷺ used to help his wives in home chores. So if you follow real religion, real Islam, it's not like that. We women have a high place. And if you look into other religions, Islam has paid so much respect to the women, have given so many, we have all the rights as long as we are in modesty and we are working outside, we have all the rights. We can go and work and do everything within our limits, within our mannerism. And so it's unfortunate, it's the culture which has just made women so much sort of looked down, and in an uneducated society, women are suffering a lot. They are actually made a doormat that their men walk all over. And we should not bring this topic in. It's about our religion, and as you're talking about.
No, I'm talking from Ramadan point of view, but these values and these beliefs, this information, you can use it and implement it even outside of Ramadan.
Yes, that's right.
Emotional intelligence is like connecting with yourself, with your inner self. Knowing your emotions. Why am I feeling this? Where in my body am I feeling this? What happened that triggered this feeling, or who or what made me feel this way? The more aware you are, and then okay, these are my strengths. Once you know all of this stuff and you're not denying anything, because something that we forget is the way you feel, all the feelings, good, bad, ugly, whatever feeling you, anger, anxiety, depression, happiness, sadness, frustration, all of whatever you want to call them, like different ones, each and every emotion, that emotion has been given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I think Sister Fazana was just mentioning that the Prophet's sunnah is to help his wife, And there are two extremes. So you have the families where everyone does things together, you have support, the husband helps, the children help. Then you have the other extreme where the wife has all the burden. But
Yeah.
I think what we need to see is
Balance.
the balance. What does Islam say? What should
Yeah.
we be doing during Ramadan?
No,
And
so-
secondly, and also then according to that, how can we work around that according to our own abilities and emotional strength, etc. So balancing in both ways.
I
And I-
want, yeah, sister.
No, sorry to interrupt. No, what I was going to say that I believe in care and share in any relationship, husband and wife, mother, daughter, children. Care and share, look, respect each other, and that's the way to build a happy harmony in the house.
Yeah.
Can I
Sister,
ask-
like
can I
the way
just-
I wanted to say about, like, you know, the balancing stuff in when we're doing coaching, we say that there's like, when you talk about balancing or perfection, both of them do not exist. Perfection lies with Allah,
Mm,
right? And balance is only on the scales in the physical sense.
I know.
So physically, you're going to try and balance stuff. Because again, if you're praying, you can't be cooking. Balance is something, two things have to be on the same level at the same time.
Yeah.
That's the balance, right? In the lame definition, for simple words, balance has to be, two things have to be done at the same time, at the same level, right? That can only be done in the physical sense when you're trying to put things on the scale. In life, what we talk about balance is, our balance comes from knowing what Allah has ordained for us. The role of a woman, the role of a man, right?
Indeed.
That's the balance in life, because Allah has created that balance for you. He's created that harmony for you. And then again, when we talk about emotional intelligence and emotions and stuff, and I know a lot of, in today's culture, especially men, they don't like to talk about emotions and things like that. But if you go back to the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the more you dig deep into it, you will realize that he was the best of characters, like we've been told. He was the best of creations, right? And the way he dealt with each and every human being, you have to have that stamina, that you have to have some kind of skill set, right? That's a skill set. Emotional intelligence is like having that skill set, that tool in your box, where you can speak to any individual that comes your way, whether it's a leader, whether it's a king or a pauper, whether it's a shepherd, whether it's Sahaba, your wife, your kids, whoever it is. And he made everybody feel special.
Absolutely.
He made sure that nobody felt bad, like nobody was belittled, right?
Yeah.
He never ignored or dismissed anyone's emotions. He dealt with them. He took their strengths, he took their weaknesses, and that's how he communicated with them. But we as individuals, we as human beings, we lack that ability, we lack that skill set, right? We don't talk about emotions. We just want to be like, you've got these primary emotions. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry. That's it. There's nothing in between, right? And this is where we go wrong. The more you get in touch with your own emotions, it's like that traffic light system in your body. You know you're feeling a certain way, right? Allah has given you these emotions for a reason. You're feeling a certain way, or you've had a thought. That thought has triggered a feeling. That feeling is making you act a certain way, right? And the action that you take is going to have a direct impact on your life, in a positive way or in a negative way, right? And if you take it in the religious sense, whatever action that you have taken based on that feeling and based on that thought, you will either get a reward or you will be sinful. So how can you ignore these emotions? How can you not take these cues that Allah has given you? He's given you this traffic light system, that you've got that gut feeling that I shouldn't be meeting up with this person, right? But you still do it because the expectation is that you need to go and see that person, right? For instance, a child, if they're comfortable around certain people, they will go, they will greet them, they will handshake, they will hug them, they will say their salams. Sometimes they're not, but they're not like that with everybody. And then you as a parent, you're pushing them. No. That's your uncle. Go and hug them. Go and hug that person. you're dismissing that child's emotions and feelings. You don't know if the other person is a pedophile, right? We don't respect somebody's space, their physical space, their emotional space. We don't respect their feelings. We don't respect their emotions. We impose our own feelings and our model of the world on that person, because culturally, it's expected of all the kids to go and greet everybody. And then they have to go and hug every auntie and uncle. They have to sit on their laps. They have to do this, 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 this. But that child's gut feeling is telling them that this person, when they touch me, they're not being appropriate, right? But you're not taking that on board. I'm not saying you're going to have that conversation every time, but let that child decide for themselves. It's like babies, when they're comfortable around certain people, pick them up, they're comfortable because Allah has given them that sense. Same goes for animals, because they use their own self-awareness, and that's to keep them in check, and that's to keep them in, to protect themselves as well. Same, Allah has given you these emotions, these feelings, all of this stuff, so that you can keep yourself in check and make right decisions based on that. Right? If you keep dismissing them, what happens? You had a negative thought. Based on that negative thought, you had a feeling. And based on that feeling, you keep acting like, okay, I'm depressed, but you're not seeking help. Because culturally, the expectation is that because you're a Muslim, you pray 5 times a day, you do X, Y, Z, you can't be depressed. And you've ignored that for such a long time. What ends up happening is that you end up having mental disorder, mental health disorder, or something, because you can't cope anymore. Ignoring simple thing as your emotion or a feeling can have big impacts in your life, in your religion as well. Like I said, bringing it back to Ramadan, if you're going through the rituals every single day, you have not connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I know people don't say it out loud, but we are human beings. You end up resenting your religion, your faith, because it becomes a chore and not something that you love doing. Like, oh my God, I have to get up again. Oh my God, I have to do X number of tasbeehs. I have to read this many pages. I have to do this. God, I can't wait for this Ramadan to be over so I can go back to my normal life. Where you don't have to go through the rituals, right? Again, it's separating yourself. If you think that you sitting down in the corner for half an hour a day and having that meditation, that time, just you and Allah, having that intimate conversation with Him is going to benefit you, then have that half an hour rather than going through the rituals throughout the day and not feeling anything at the end of it. Because it's become like a race. Like everybody that I've spoken to throughout Ramadan, except a few sisters, everybody is stuck. They feel stuck in that rut. We have to do this many khatams. We have to do this many tasbeehs. I have to read this many rakats in Taraweeh. I have to do this, and they've got children. Then they're cooking, like I said, 7-course meals, right? Iftar is at 9 o'clock and you start preparing stuff from 4 o'clock. Some sisters are even missing their salah because they're trying to rush through everything. The emphasis is on the quantity of the stuff, quantity of the rituals, the cultural expectations, rather than the month itself and connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the spiritual level. And this is where we go against our fitrah, right? If something is not sitting well with you and you think that I'm reading the Quran, but I'm not feeling anything, then slow down. Slow your pace. Like I said, instead of reading 10 pages, read 1 page, but read it with a meaning so that you understand what your creator is telling you, how he's speaking to you. Don't just rush through everything. It's not a competition. And then again, it's like, again, when we talk about this self-management here, so knowing, okay, this is not working for me, like self-reflection, self-evaluation, disciplining, okay, I can't read 20 pages after every salah because it's not possible for me. And I can't read one juz in one sitting either. I can manage pockets of time here and there where I can sit and read one page without any, nobody disturbing me and everything. I can read the meaning and I can go over it. And then I can see, like I said, how can I use it in my life? Quran is not just for you to just read and then how many times you finished in a day or in a year. Because Quran was revealed, we forget that Quran was revealed over 23 years. It wasn't revealed in one day. And the Sahabas, every time a surah came, an ayah came, they had that time to take one ayah. That's how they did hifz back in the time. If everybody goes and research how the Sahabas did their hifz, they would have one ayah, they would understand it, they would implement it in their life, and then they would move forward to the next one. Not just learn it by heart and say, that's it, I've got to, like in Urdu, I don't know how many people say, ratify everything, and then that's it, just go with it. It's just the words that are coming out of your mouth, and they nothing more than the words. So if you reflect on that from spirituality point of view, from how you connect with Allah, is take one ayah and just reflect on that as much as you can. And then say, and then do dhikr, or do have that reflection time between you and Allah. Just have the conversation, 20 minutes in the corner, and just tell everybody, listen, it's Ramadan. Nobody comes to me. You're not going to die of hunger, right? Just go and feed yourselves. You don't have to make, again, it's that cultural expectation and not the religious expectation from you, where you have to stand and make 10 kinds of foods. And then you have to eat nonstop from iftar till sahur time, because God forbid you're not gonna be able to eat anything next day. You're gonna die out of hunger. But that's the whole point of Ramadan, is about fasting, not feasting. That's one of the reasons we, at the end of Ramadan, majority of us put on more weight. We have heartburns and indigestion problems at the end of Ramadan, because we eat more while we are fasting than we eat in our everyday norm out of Ramadan. So it's to understand that meaning of Ramadan, being aware of that, and what, again, self-awareness, know what Allah wants from you. In Ramadan, what did he ask? Like, you leave these, you're controlling your nafs, basically. This is the time where you will become more aware of like your physical strengths and your weaknesses, whether you can last, how long can you last without food and water? How long can you last without having intimate relationships with your partner? How long can you last without sinning, the normal sins, that major, minor sins that we do in everyday life? This is where you will become more and more aware of yourself. Right.
I think someone had a hand up. Was it Sister Lubna had a hand up? Did you want to ask a question, Sister Lubna? I try to unmute.
Yeah, sorry. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Zebunessa and Madhya. Yeah, I was just gonna say, going back to what you were saying, Madhya, assalamu alaikum. Just going back to what you were saying about expectations. Some things are just expectations and very cultural. And the problem is, it's all people expect and you don't do it. It's just, it's difficult to change and to change anyone else. And if you do happen to go away from culture, then it can cause a problem. So sometimes you are in the midst of culture, some are. So, that's what I was going to say, on special on self.
Yes, again, it's
empathy. And
you're right from that point of view, that when it comes to cultural stuff, a lot of the families, especially people who are living in joint family systems, sisters, they can't do anything. If the expectation is that they have to cook X number of dishes, they have to cook those dishes, because that's, everybody's expecting that at the time of iftar. And again, this is when okay, what is and isn't in my control, right? If you're doing something for the family, you should know that, okay, I have to cook all of this because my mother-in-law said so, or my father-in-law is expecting this at the time of iftar, all of this stuff. If you're living in a joint family system, then you know that there's certain things you don't have any control over, right? And you can't step up and say anything about it. So then again, know that that's not in my control, but what is it that I can control? Do not overburden yourself with the rituals. Like I said, that's in your control. How you connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's in your control. Do not put that extra burden that so many sisters are completing. Like I said, this many juz, they are reading this many nawafils, they are doing this, they're reading 1,000 tasbeehs, they're doing this. That is in your control. How you connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's 110% in your control. If you can't read Quran, don't feel guilty about it. You do not have to publicize your actions and your rituals to everyone, because it's none of their business. It's between you and Allah. If you're reading Quran, it's for him, it's for you. It's not for anybody else. The sawab is not going to anyone else. The sawab is for you. If you can't read and you're tired and you're exhausted, know that Allah knows He's watching you. Why are you more scared of the people around you than Allah who's created you? Be conscious of Him, that He knows He's watching me. I've been on my feet all day. He knows I've had to go to work. I've had to come back. I have to feed the young children because they are not fasting. I've had to cook, clean. I've had to do all of that stuff. I do not have the energy to sit down and read Quran, or I do not have the energy to read or do whatever. Even if you lie on your back, have a conversation with Allah. That Allah, you know, you're the all-seeing, you're the all-hearing. You know what I'm going through, and open up about everything to Him. Ask Him to make things easy for you. Have like an open conversation with Him. Every conversation does not need to be in Arabic. Urdu, Punjabi, Bengali, English, Chinese, it doesn't matter. Allah knows what's in your heart. He doesn't need you to translate anything for Him. You're not talking to a human being. You're not talking to a king that's on earth. It's not a human being. It's Allah. He's created you. He knows your ins and outs. And He's telling you, your body is telling you, again, self-awareness. Look for the signs what your body is trying to tell you. If you're feeling overpressured, you're feeling overwhelmed because you haven't read Quran, or you've not managed to finish it, and you're feeling guilty. Again, separate the two things. Why are you feeling guilty? Are you feeling guilty because everybody is going to ask you? Because that's the expectation that they have put on you, that you know you have to finish this number of khatams in the month of Ramadan. Or are you feeling guilty because you haven't connected to Allah? Differentiate those two things. What's yours and what's not yours? What's within your model of the world? What are your thoughts? What are your values, your beliefs as an individual? Use that.
In Ramadan, what are the things that we should be trying to do? What are the lessons that we should be learning? How should we be improving our inner self so that we can focus on that instead of as you say, the rituals? So if you put a positive spin on it, what are the things that we should be doing?
So this is like, again, when it comes to, again, emotional intelligence, know your strengths and weaknesses, right? Know your strengths and weaknesses, work on yourself, like do your self-reflection work, right? This is the time where, again, Allah says you have to, everything you have to give up, and it's for Him, and the reward is from Him. When you do that self-reflection, you do that self-evaluation, you know how you have to discipline yourself, right? Like I said, how can I improve or fix my internal and external issues? So I have a bad habit, for instance, but I know that in Ramadan, because I'm fasting, I can't act on that, right? It's a struggle for me. So for instance, a woman, she likes to watch dramas, right? Or she's got it running in the kitchen while she's cooking, and she likes to watch dramas. And it's a drama that's not benefiting her in any way. It's giving her, it's affecting her mindset. It's affecting her because food is not whatever you consume is your food. It's your food for your soul, food for your mind, food for your eyes, your ears, your soul. So whatever we consume, even if it's watching a TV program, it has an impact on your mindset. It has an impact on your emotional health, physical health, spiritual health, and your physical health, and your relationship and your religion, right? Whatever goes inside a human body through your five senses, that's what you're consuming, and that will impact everything in your life, every single thing. So if you think that watching certain programs are not beneficial for you and you're struggling in Ramadan, ask again, have that connection with Allah and ask him, Ya Rab, if I can get out of this Ramadan with nothing else and I can just give this one habit for your sake, please help me do that. And instead of focusing on that rituals, just say, you know, Ya Rab, make this Ramadan, make it a means of benefit me from it, right? I want to get rid of this bad habit for your sake, because I know it keeps me away from my salah. I know it keeps my mind occupied with other things. I know I get bad ideas and then I end up having, I don't know, start fighting with my husband or whatever. Like I said, whatever we consume, it has an impact on us, on our behavior, on our feelings. If you start watching depressing programs, you will end up start having those depressing emotions, and you will start becoming depressed. If you have a company, if you have set of friends that you hang out with, and I know sometimes it's very difficult to know, again, becoming self-aware helps you with it. If you hang out with friends who are constantly complaining about their husbands, and your husband and your relationship is okay, right? But you find that every time you hang out with your friends, you end up complaining something about your husband, right? On the other hand, if you hang out with another group of friends who are only talking about positive things, constructive things, right? And they're like, okay, you know, I'm positive. I don't mean happy, happy, happy all the time, but positive, I mean something that they're focusing on, say, oh, I've got weight issue, I'm trying to get healthy, and I'm going to work on that thing. One is I'm working on my promotion at work, I'm working on setting up my business from home, and things like that. So the more creative ideas they have, the conversations that you have with them, you will find yourself more motivated and more inspired. And that will become part of your personality and your mindset and your character. And you will start behaving that way with other people around you. So your company really, really matters. So if you've got anything like that in your everyday life that you struggle with, take one habit that's really impacting your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, right? Take that one habit and use that in Ramadan and ask Allah that, Ya Rab, my focus in this Ramadan is to get closer to you by giving up on this bad habit. And I want to improve on this. I want to help myself, and I want to give this up for your sake. And just take, and from the Quran point of view, even if you take one ayah or one small surah, get to the gist of that surah and say, Ya Rab, help me implement this in my life. Make this part of my life. How can I use this to help myself and people around me? Just take that as your goal and just focus on that. And if you're washing dishes, have that conversation with Allah at that time. Again, you don't have to make it difficult that I need to be in a state of wudu, I need to be in a quiet room somewhere else and to do this, and then only will my ibadah be accepted. No. You can make anything into an act of ibadah if you make the right intention. So if you're someone who's constantly struggling, again, whatever you're doing, you're driving your kids, you're going for the groceries, have that conversation with Allah. Say, Allah, make it easy for me. I'm struggling with this. I can't keep up with this. I want to give up this bad habit, or I want to improve relationships with my husband. I want to become more practicing. I want to give up a bad habit, or I want to start a new habit where I'm doing this. Focus on those things rather than, again, the rituals. And there is nothing wrong with the rituals, mind you. There's nothing wrong with those rituals. But the problem is when you just do them for the sake of doing them and it's not taking you anywhere closer to your creator. That's where the problem is. At the end of the day, you're exhausted, you're questioning your religion that, oh my God, it's a chore. Oh my God, I have to get up and I have to do this again. Oh, I have to do X number of taraweehs. Oh, I've got to do this. Rather than saying, oh, I had a good day. I had a nice conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala today. I worked on this bad habit and Allah will make it easy for me to go through this. That's
We're
what
just
the
going to do a quick time check. There's 10 minutes left. And I think you have to go through the other slides, which we are
Yep.
eagerly awaiting information of as well.
Yeah. So social awareness, I would, again, it's taking what you have learned for yourself, right? Who you are, your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, your actions, and using them, and again, being considerate of other people around you. Again, if somebody is putting pressure on you that you need to do these rituals every day, don't use the same stuff for other people. You know, as a woman, how much you struggle to go through all these things. Don't go and question, become again like the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his example. He never put other people down. He never compared anyone. Do not, when you see another sister who's not eating or who's drinking and eating, do not jump to the conclusion, oh, she's not a good Muslimah because she's, look at that, she's eating it outside. Maybe she's got a health issue. Maybe she's on her periods. Maybe she's breastfeeding. You as a Muslim, you're supposed to make 70 plus excuses for the other Muslim, right? Do not jump on that bandwagon and say, okay, oh, this is like, she's not a good Muslim. She didn't even read Salah with us. Oh, she doesn't cover her hair. She might be more closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She might be having those intimate conversations with Allah that, Ya Rab, I'm struggling. I have to dress this way because I have to fit in and go to work and feed myself, or I have to do this and I'm struggling, but I want to cover myself. So imagine her rank in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because she's struggling, her rank will be higher, right? So who are we to sit here and judge? We don't know her situation. And even when we think that, no, I know that family, I know that sister, she was my friend, she was my classmate, she's so-and-so, I've heard this, all these gossips and stuff. Still, do not judge the other sister. Do not compare, do not ask them, are you fasting or are you not fasting? How many salahs did you read today? Did you read Taraweeh? Did you finish the juz? Did you do the tasbih? Because you don't know what's going on with her. Even though she looks fine on the surface, maybe she's got mental health issues. Maybe her faith, she's questioning her faith right now. And you asking her that one question might tip her over the edge.
We have a comment in the chat room that finishing the Quran in Ramadan is not a ritual, but a sunnah. Angel Jibreel used to review the Quran once every Ramadan, and that's why we do it.
Yes, again, but it's that do not, if you can do it. For someone who's got the habit of, for instance, who reads Quran regularly throughout the year, right? Their fluency and their everything, their pronunciation will be different to the person who only takes it up in Ramadan. So if you're someone, so a person who reads it regularly will find it very easy to go through Quran throughout the in Ramadan. This is for people who struggle, because again, they've put that on themselves that no, I have to do it in Ramadan, right? Throughout the year, it's like having those, like when we say, oh, this is a Friday only Muslim. You don't see them praying all day, but they're there for the Jummah Salah, right? Or they only come for the Eid prayer, or they only do those basic rituals. I'm fasting. The rest of the year, don't ask me how I behave. Do you understand? I'm talking about those people, that be considerate of those people. If a woman, if you have not done something like this throughout the year, how it's impractical, humanly impossible. If somebody is not reading Quran every single day and they haven't got that fluency, their pronunciation is not that good, how do you practically, humanly expect them to finish the entire Quran, especially a woman, like I said, who's cooking, cleaning, looking after the kids, first one to get up, last one to go to bed, then she's driving the kids to school, then she's taking the groceries. If she's working, then add the other hours on top of. How is that woman supposed to actually achieve all of this? And then same have, at the end of the day, give that 7-course meal, right? That everybody wants fresh, right? Fresh stuff, 10 different kinds of things. Then like, I need to know, like, how is it possible as a human being?
I guess what you're saying is it's according to your own abilities, according to your duties,
Knowing your
timetable.
strengths. It's
Yeah.
knowing your strengths. If you
Absolutely.
can sit a juz, if you can read a juz in one go, good for you. Do that.
Yeah.
Don't take somebody else's suggestion who says, okay, read 20 pages after every salah and then you'll finish the juz. That's for the person who can't read in one juz. So what applies to you doesn't apply to me.
Absolutely. And if you cannot do that, then whatever you're doing in its place, whether it's
Make
cooking,
sense.
looking after the children, that is the ibadah. So that's
Yes.
equal to doing the rituals and the reading.
The point in Ramadan is to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Becoming self-aware is knowing your strengths and weaknesses. If I can read Quran 1 juz every day, that's my strength. If I can't do it, if I can break it down throughout the day, then that's what I have to go with, right? Whatever works for you. Again, that's the point is you do not use what works for you for other people and do not judge them over it.
Absolutely. Sister Prasanna was saying something.
No, just I was going to mention that Allah, I mean, that even if you say Allah, just Allah, with deep commitment and in depth, that is Allah. I mean, that will give so much reward to a person instead of doing tasbih and tasbih. I mean, but it is recommended that we should read Quran. It is highly recommended during the month of Ramadan. And as Sister Madhia said, that read even a single line, but keep reading. Don't discontinue that. I don't have. We need to take in a way. So
again, then you have to be, sister, if again, people have to put certain things in place. If you know you want to read Quran, then as a family, you have to come to that conclusion and say, listen, I can't spend 4 hours in the kitchen. I need to do my own deen as well. I need to look after my own akhirah. So I need 1 hour of cooking. Whatever I can cook in that 1 hour, you will have that at iftar. Because again, the point is not to feast. The point is to fast, to control our nafs, to control our desires, to tame that nafs. It's like a horse, isn't it? It needs to be tamed, needs to be controlled. And the point is to give up everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not to, again, like eat like there's no tomorrow and then we have to starve. And you're actually creating more diseases for yourself. The reason Allah is asking you to fast is to help you on the spiritual level, on the physical level, in every possible way. Ramadan is the time for you to reset that relationship with Allah, that relationship with yourself. It's for time for self-reflection, self-evaluation, self-disciplining, and then having that strong connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you're doing it for His sake, right? So again, using these, whatever you learn for yourself, again, sympathize with other people. Do not be like sympathy and empathy. So sympathy is basically how you are feeling about the other person's situation, isn't it? Oh, I feel sorry for you. I know what you must be going through and everything. Again, it's good to sympathize, but then again, you're making somebody else's pain, taking it, and then you're making it about you, how you feel about it. Empathy is understanding that the other person is going through something. And you know what? I don't know whatever you're going through. I know it must be very hard for you. You must be struggling so much. If I can help you in any way, please let me know. If you see a mother who's got young children and she's struggling so much, if you've made some iftar, just tell her, listen, don't worry about cooking today. I know you're struggling. If I'm cooking, I'll cook a little extra and I'll help you with it. That's your empathy. That's you being considerate of that person and understanding that, you know what, she might be struggling with something, right? Again, knowing that what is and isn't in my control when it comes to the social interactions and social relationships. I mean, we're just talking about Ramadan here. Again, it's not your right to question people how much they cook. Again, how much they're feeding their family. If they're okay with just making sandwiches for iftar, do not judge them that, oh my God, look at that woman. She doesn't even cook for her family. They've been fasting all day and all she's put on the table is the dry sandwiches. Maybe the family is focusing on the ibadah rather than the food. You don't know what's going on in their family. You don't know. Maybe that's what they can afford to have that way. Maybe things look nice on the surface level. Maybe there's something else underneath. So be considerate about that when it comes to other people. Do not judge them. And from Ramadan point of view, do not question them with these rituals, because the reason I keep bringing the rituals up is because that's what we've made Ramadan into. Grocery shoppings, hoarding more and more food, getting special offers in, cooking 7-course meals every day, right? And just eating from sunset to dawn. And then it's just reading the numbers. I've read this much number. And again, you're just reading the words, you're reading Quran, but do you even understand what you just read? So that's the whole point of becoming self-aware, self-awareness and self-management, and social awareness and social management. I mean, with any other conversation out of Ramadan, you can go into deep discussions on each and every aspect of like this stuff. We can go into deep stuff, but it's just 1 hour. So from Ramadan point of view, this is what you can focus on for now. Not make it about the rituals, make it about the quality, make it about the intention. And do the same for other people. Do not judge what they're going through and what they're doing, what they have achieved and what they haven't achieved. Because at the end of the day, they are answerable for their actions. Their Ramadan and their actions and rituals will not give you any sawab, and your actions and your rituals will not give any sawab to somebody else. It's to each to their own. So it's, I think that's what I'd like to say.
Yeah, that's are those the last of your slides, sister?
Yes. I wanted to keep, it's 1 hour. So like I said, we can go into deep conversations on each slide.
Yes, it could go on. Absolutely.
With other stuff, but because it's just Ramadan, from Ramadan point of view, I think it's just to keep it simple with just the rituals. And like I said, focus on the quality, focus on the connection with Allah.
Absolutely.
And don't impose other people's expectations on you.
Absolutely.
And don't impose your expectations on other people. Just because you can manage something doesn't mean that the next person can do the same.
Okay. Thank you for a deep and valuable insight into the topic. Emotional intelligence is actually part of our faith and required by men, women, and children alike.
Yeah.
And in fact, in Surah Hujurat, chapter 49 of the Quran, you'll find golden rules on ethics and social etiquette. It's a good idea to review that during Ramadan because it teaches us manners, social interaction, how to treat each other, how to behave. It's a very, I mean, as it says, the golden rules on ethics.
Again, sister, you just mentioned it, but how many of us do actually go through the translation of the Quran and see this is what Allah mentioned in that surah?
Yeah, so we skim over it, we read it, but we don't know what we're reading and how much knowledge there is. Yeah.
This is also again ritual in our country, Pakistan and India, that a child is made to finish the Quran. They don't pay emphasis on knowing the meaning. Like in Arabic world, they pay more emphasis on the meaning rather than finishing the whole Quran.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like for myself, like I really fear that on the Day of Judgment, if I know of a Quran or if I've learned a surah and I know the meaning, Allah is going to question me on the Day of Judgment. Okay, you know this much Quran, but did it mirror your life though? Did you actually implement that in your life? How can you turn around and say I didn't get the message?
I know.
Just reading the Quran and just doing the hifd in itself, yes, it's got rewards, but he's going to question you. So if you're living your life, which is like polar opposite, how are you going to answer on the Day of Judgment?
Indeed.
Absolutely. A question that I have is that once we've learned all that we need to, well, we'll never learn enough, but whatever lessons we learn during Ramadan, how do we go about implementing that, as in acclimatizing to normal daily life? Because Ramadan, the shayateen are all locked up. Because we're fasting, because everyone as a community is doing the same thing, it's easier for us to focus. But then after Ramadan, we go back to normal routines. So how do we keep that up?
It's again taking the same relationship out of Ramadan as well. So if you know you're struggling to read Quran, like I said, it's become like a ritual. And if next Ramadan you have that goal that, Ya Rab, I've got this 1 year, let me see the next Ramadan year. But I want to actually, the struggles that I had in this Ramadan, I don't want to have the same struggles next year if I live to see it. So if you think that, okay, you know what, I struggle to finish my Quran in Ramadan, what's the best way to go about it then? Is to, as soon as you finish, get your, again, self-disciplining is important. So you know that your weakness is you can't, you read either too fast and you don't pronounce properly, or you're too slow and you don't finish the Quran on time, right? So if that's your intention for next year, that yes, I want to complete at least one Quran, realistically, at least one time, I want to complete it, and work on it every month. You've got that from this Ramadan to next Ramadan, you've got that 1 year. Take that goal even outside of Ramadan.
That's good advice. Yeah.
So if you're working on one habit, so in coaching, we know that it takes 21 days to make or break a habit, right? So we focus on that. So any habits you want, new habit you want to start, you have to do it consecutively for 21 days. If you want to break a habit, it takes, again, 21 days. And if you want a lifestyle change, it takes 90 days to have a lifestyle change. So you've got so many 90 days in 1 year, right? You want to change your lifestyle, you want to change your habits. Take that goal outside of Ramadan and just ask Allah every year, every day, that, you know what, I want to give up this bad habit for you, Ya Rab. It's affecting my deen. It's affecting how I function in my everyday life. It's affecting my mindset. It's affecting how I'm growing as a person, as a Muslimah, right? How can I help myself? Again, I want to get rid of this habit. So take one habit, don't overwhelm yourself. Take one habit and work on that. Just work on that. With regards to Quran, again, start slow. If you've managed to finish, then good. May Allah reward you for that. If you haven't, just take it outside of Ramadan as well. Okay, one page every day with meaning. And then inshallah, I'm going to take whatever lessons I have taken from there, I'm going to try and implement in my life. Going to ask Allah to make it easy for me to implement those lessons. And again, it's taking that one habit at a time, taking that one lifestyle choice that you want to take, whether it's something bigger, whatever it is, one thing at a time, and focus on that. And use that again, in even outside Ramadan, focus on the quality of your connection with Allah, not the quantity. Slow down in your salah so that you know what you're talking about. Slow down in your reading of Quran. If you're doing a reflection time, even if it's once a week, have that me time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That way you're just sitting and just talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's it.
Are there any questions? Any more questions? You can either open your video and ask directly, or you can send the questions in the chat room.
Sister Madhya, if I may say so,
Please.
that, you know, the lady who asked the question before, that how can we implement this throughout the year? We can do this by just looking by changing our own self. When we change our own self slowly and not imposing our feelings and thinkings onto the other person, then it will help us to change, and then slowly the other person will change also.
Yes, that's exactly the point of like, because like I said before, we're talking.
Hello,
we seem to have lost.
Changing your own.
Yeah, so when you talk self-awareness, isn't it? Self-awareness and self-management.
Management.
So
That's right.
the more you're connected with yourself,
yes,
your emotions, like I said, you have a thought that triggers a feeling, and that feeling triggers an action. And that action impacts your relationships. It impacts all areas of your life. It impacts your deen. It impacts everything. So how can you neglect that thought or that emotion in the first place? So suppressing your emotions and feelings and not being self-aware and just trying to go with the flow does not help you as an individual. It doesn't help you grow as an individual. It doesn't help you grow as a Muslimah. So the more connected you are with yourself on emotional level, on spiritual level, you know what your needs are physically, emotionally, right? And the more you can meet your needs, that will impact the actions that you take. That will impact how you react or respond to other people and to other situations in your life. So your thoughts and your feelings play a very important part in your everyday life. They play a very important part in your spirituality. So we can't ignore that. So that's why self-awareness is important. The way you speak to yourself. Like I said in the beginning, the negative talk that we have, I'm worthless, I'm useless, I'm this, I'm that, I'm not good enough. Do you think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have created something that's useless? When you question yourself, when you question your existence, you're questioning Allah's decision to create you. Your worth comes from knowing that He created you for a reason. He created you. That's it. Khalas, I'm worthy of it. If I was useless, if I didn't mean anything, if I didn't matter, why would He waste, why would He waste His time making me? Why would He create me then? I'm either here to serve myself, like we are all here as Allah's servants, right? We're here to serve Him. We're His servants. And at the same time, He's using His servants to serve other people as well. Like my children, I'm just a vessel that they came through. Like Allah used me as a vessel to bring them into this world. I do not own my children. I cannot take pride that, oh, I'm a mother of a son or a daughter or blah, blah, blah. If He decides to take them away, He can take them away in a split second. I have, as an individual, I have no pride in anything. I'm just a means for, maybe Allah is giving me so much money because He wants me to help somebody else. So He's making me a wasila for somebody else. So either way, there is a purpose to my existence. Maybe He used me as a vessel. Maybe my children will grow up and change the world or help the world in a better way. So again, that was my purpose, to bring them into this world so they can serve Allah in the best possible way. Maybe Allah is giving me a lot of wealth so I can support the people who need it. So one way or another, I have a purpose. I am worthy of being here. Nobody can tell me, not even myself, that I am not worthy, or I'm useless, or I'm not good enough mother, or I'm not good enough wife. Allah does not make mistakes. If He created me, I'm not a mistake. So then again, that's where your self-talk comes. You need to acknowledge that, you know what, I'm Allah's creation. He's given me these strengths and these are my weaknesses. How can I use them to be His best servant? How can I use this to serve other people? The tests and the trials that we have, they shape us into the human beings that we become. That's a training. If I didn't go through the tests that I went through in my childhood, in my teen years, in my marriage, in my motherhood, I wouldn't be sitting here, or I wouldn't have been helping the other sisters for the past 2 years that I did. Had I not gone through those tests, I wouldn't be here today. So my worthiness comes from Allah. My purpose comes from knowing that Allah has created me. That's enough for me to say that, you know what, I'm good enough. That's where my worth is, self-worth is. Once you know that, once you're self-aware, then inshallah, everything else falls into place.
I think this is a topic that we would just enjoy listening to and discussing for hours and hours to come.
Indeed.
But we have gone 15 minutes over time, so I'm going to have to bring it to an end. Perhaps we could invite Sister Madiha another time, choose a topic or of discussion and do this again. But yeah, I'd like to thank the attendees for your time and attention. And from all of us, Sister Madiha, thank you for such an inspiring presentation.
Jazakallah khair. I hope it was beneficial.
Yeah,
everyone. Like I said, we can go into it even after Ramadan. It's a huge topic.
yes,
It's
definitely.
Emotional intelligence is a huge topic.
And hope, inshallah, we all take something out of it and build ourselves and become more self-aware and be worthy of our own self and for others also. Thank you so much, Madhya.
I mean,
For
I'm sure all of us will take away. Sorry?
Inshallah.
Yeah,
Jazakallah khair for having me. It's an
Barakallah fiki. I'm going to just talk about your links as well. So I'm sure all of us will take away from this how to increase emotional intelligence over the next few days and how to apply this throughout our lives. If you would like further advice, Madiha is based, oh, I thought you were based in London, but sorry, where are you? Lancashire, yeah?
Lancashire, yes.
Yep, and can be contacted in the details that I've listed in the chat room. I've put all the details there.
Yeah.
Please do leave a review or comments on her website, which is also listed. So we hope you found our session today useful. If you'd like to offer feedback on this session or suggest any workshops for the future, please get in touch via the Hounslow Muslim Centre email address mentioned. If you text your name to the phone number given, I can add you to the WhatsApp group for these workshops. Thank you again, Sister Madiha, for your time and expertise, and thank you, Sister Farzana, for your participation and support.
Thank you so much. First of all, Sister Madhya,
Jazakallah khair for everything. Jazakallah khair for having me here.
thank you so much for your very informative, very, very encouraging talk. And I wish we could have you more and go into more depth about self-awareness and everything. Thank you, Deborah.
Inshallah, Zebunisa, she's got my details. I've shared it already. I'm doing bespoke workshops. I've done parenting workshops. I've done marriage workshops, alhamdulillah. So
Alhamdulillah.
happy to accommodate, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So if you just come forward, attendees, with ideas of what to discuss for next time with Sister Madiha, then we can arrange that, inshallah.
Parenting is a very good topic for youngsters in our group on.
Yes, that is a very good topic.
Very good
Would
topic.
you be able to do that, Sister?
Yes, alhamdulillah. I've done my level 2 in understanding children and teenagers' mental health. And I'm doing my level 3, inshallah. So yes, I have been delivering those workshops. So inshallah, I can do that definitely.
Inshallah.
Not an issue.
Sister Lubna, if I've given the number above, if you could text me your number. Okay, I'll write it down. Hang on, I've got your number now. 902. And I'll add you to the workshop WhatsApp group. And anyone else, just send me the number and I'll add you as well, inshallah. Okay. Yes, my sister Mariam knows you. Jazakallah khair to you too.
Jazakallah khair, please.
Jazakallah khair, sister, so much.
Barakallah feek. Walaikum salam.
It was really nice talking.